it does appear as if Keandre Miller will be back in the lineup. One of their biggest physically and size of impact acquisitions this offseason. Keandre Miller, one of their defensemen, has been out with an injury. Not officially official that he'll be playing, but all of the tea leaves, as I call them, kind of point towards Keandre Miller being back in the lineup. Young defenseman Dominic Fensori assigned back to the AHL. They did activate Keandre Miller off the IR, so it appears as if he skated in the normal portion of practice yesterday in a regular sweater, not a non-contact sweater. So Keandre Miller appears to be back in the lineup today, which every welcome return from any injured player for the Canes is big news. I do think we were reminded by Shane Gostisbehere that now it's about staying in the lineup. It's not just about returning, but it's about playing a whole bunch of games in a row, which is something Gostisbehere was unable to do in his return. So shout out to Keandre Miller back in the lineup. When it comes to Minnesota, I think it's an interesting – actually, first of all, let's hear from Keandre Miller, literally. We have a clip here of how he's been feeling while skating recently. Straight from the horse's mouth, here's Keandre Miller.
It's been good. Obviously, you never want to be out of the lineup, but health comes first at the end of the day. So I think I just tried to use the couple games off to try to get my body back where I wanted to be.
That was after practice yesterday, which I mentioned he was a non-contact, which means contact, just regular sweater participant. Now, Minnesota, unfamiliar opponent, right? Western Conference. I think it's sometimes good to get one of these, a team that you're not super familiar with, not in the Canes' wheelhouse. So it's less about scouting report or history or matchups that you've mastered, right? I know he likes to do this, but he knows I like to do that, and I have to counter this with that. And it's more focusing on you, right? Tonight's about the Canes. It's about playing well. It's about focusing on yourself. So sure, you study as much as you can about the opponent, but it's unrealistic to think you're going to know them as well as a division opponent like you did against the Rangers, or a conference opponent like you'll see all over the East.
You know who does know him well?
Who's that?
Nikolai Ehlers.
That's actually it's a good point. All right, go to the front of the class and explain to everybody what you know. Nikolai, you're an assistant coach leading up to this one. And do you know what he might say? Minnesota doesn't have a very good penalty kill. Or at least not this year. Canes, meanwhile, have had a bad but improving power play. I think it would be very nice to take advantage of that, right? I think it would be very nice if the Carolina Hurricanes can work their way into a couple power play opportunities, and if they can punch them home. See it hit the back of the net a few times, and walk away with more confidence in a power play that is improving after a very, very rough start to the season. Now, based on practice yesterday, and they did not have a morning skate. The Carolina Hurricanes didn't, so we don't have the reports on lines and everything from today. But based on yesterday's practice, it appears as if the shaken up lines from their last game will continue. Right, Svech, Aho, Hall on the top line, Ehlers, Stankoven, Blake on the second line, Jarvis along with Stahl and Martinook on that Stahl line, the third line, and then the remaining, right? Kotkaniemi, Jankowski, Nadeau, kind of in that fourth line, although it should be mentioned Robinson skated in a non-contact sweater. So as we continue to monitor all of the injured players, hopefully on their way back, that's a good one for Robinson, at least being out there on the ice while the other players are. I like giving it another chance. I know that some people were super against the shaking up of lines and how they decided to put them together. And I know part of it had to do with the Rangers, but you shake it up, you get a 3-0 win, it allows you the opportunity to see it again. And hopefully see it again, right? And if you get wins, I'm going to keep saying this until they're at least mostly healthy. Every win is worth its weight in gold because it buoys you until you get back closer to full strength. And if you can experiment and learn more about your team along the way, or prepare yourself for whatever situation may come more along the way, I think that's good. I think it's a really gosh darn good thing. So Aho being with Hall and Svetch, I don't think that's going to be what it is for any long period of time. But if it gets people going right now, I like it. On the defensive pairings with, as I mentioned, Keandre Miller back, Nikishin Walker, which is Nikishin's been shining, and Walker I think is I don't want to call him like a supporting actor, but I think he's great for doing a lot of the dirty work and meshing with whoever he's with. So keeping Nikishin there I like.
He's playing really, really well. Sean Walker has been.
Both of them. And I think it's a bit of the yin and yang thing, right? Like they fit together well. Although, like I said, I think Walker fits together with a lot of people as that pairing. Riley Nystrom and then Miller Chatfield. And, obviously the minutes will show probably how comfortable they are with Miller playing, coming straight out of the injury. I've said it since preseason. I want to see Chatfield and Miller really get on the same page, and I think that can be a wildly dynamic defensive pairing. So putting them together straight out of the injury, I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of that decision. Riley and Nystrom is fascinating. I think that's, you have two pairings you absolutely love, and you have the third, which you're looking at them and saying, I'm going to need you to do a great job with an unusual pairing, right? Riley, the vet, Nystrom, brand new, but whatever it is, I think they're making good, if experimental, line decisions up and down the defensive pairings, up and down the forwards, and that's what this part of the season is about. Make sure you're comfortable in a million different positions and see what works. You might stumble into something that works gangbusters, that becomes one of the tools you have in your toolbox later in the season. I don't see anything that's as uproarious as some did for the Canes. Now, going into tonight, there are still, I'll say ripple effects, right? It's just the lasting impact of Nikolai Ehlers getting his first goal of the season last game. Right, we're going to do first goal scorer predictions, which, by the way, you can send them to me on Twitter at Donnelly Sports. You can wait and try to call in at 4:33. We'll take a handful of your calls on air to make your first goal scorer predictions. Who will score the first goal for the Canes tonight, and in what period, are the two pieces of information we need. But with Ehlers having scored his goal, I think there's no more like blanket I hope for goal scorers. Right? Obviously, you hope for goals. You root for goals. You want your top guys to play like top guys, like all the generic stuff. But up until this point, I think there's always been somebody who, outside of the matchup, outside of gameplay, I just want them to score for them. Not pity, but like just get one so we can move on. Right? At first, it was Svetch. He didn't have a point for a long time. And everybody was, we need to get Svetch going. We need to get Svetch going. Obviously, Ehlers, up until this past game, it was the new high-priced Nikolai Ehlers. Why isn't he scoring? He needs to score. And if you mix in there a little bit, I think Bradley Nadeau was there as well, where it's just they wanted to see the young goal scorer score goals. There's really none of those now. There's none of those emotional hopes. And because of that, it's like we're like finally into the meat of the season. And now what you're hoping for is just whatever you think the team needs. It's not what that guy needs just to get the weight off his shoulders. It's now whatever you think the team needs, which I think is fascinating. When it comes to the future, the long-term success of this season's Carolina Hurricanes, what do you think is the most important thing that can happen in a game? That's what to me the like, if a long season, and hockey is a long season, gets divided up into little mini seasons, right? Little stretches where the theme might change. To me, that's one that just buttoned up. The first season of let's get everybody started, let's get everybody rolling, everybody see the back of the net one time, at least all of the main characters. Now you're into the teeth of it. Right, as you continue to maybe mess around with lines, get guys healthy, what do you want to build off of? So for me, it's if you're spreading around Aho, Ehlers, and Jarvis, I want to notice those three. right? Well, I don't want to be watching a Stahl, Martinook, Jarvis line and, no offense, have it look like a Stahl, Martinook, Carrier line, right? I want Jarvis to bring something else there. If you're removing Ehlers from that top line after it was always assumed the top line was going to be like he was the guy to finally complete the top line, I want to see him creating for Stankoven and Blake. Whether the shots find the back of the net or not is that's hockey bounces a funny direction a lot, right? But if the chances are being developed, I'm cool there. And then probably, as expected, Aho directing the show on the top line is I'm not worried about seeing it, but I want to see it.
What's the line you want to see get going? Obviously, second game we're going to see this group of 12 in these pairings in these lines. What's the line you want to see get going tonight?
I want Aho, Hall, and Svetch.
Yeah.
And a lot of it has to do with Svetch. If Svetch is going to be up there, which he is obviously, he has to be the guy that's converting chances, right? Aho, we know what he is, right? He's more assists than goals, but he's a bunch of points and he's good the entire ice. Hall, we know what he is. Wily, veteran, sees the ice, can set you up. He'll finish, but it's different now. Svetch is the one who should be, hopefully, peppering the goal, scoring, making the reckless highlights. The way that line works for me, if it's working, is Aho has multiple points, but the plays we remember are Svetch, right? It's like Aho, the advanced analytics love him. He has a goal and an assist, but the SportsCenter top 10 play is probably Svetch. That's the way I want to see that go. Are you on board with that as well? Is that the line you want to see? I felt like when you asked the question, there was an answer that was you were trying to water into a plant.
I like your point about Svetch because I think they need him to be a consistent top line threat or like a top 6 forward threat. That needs to be a consistency for this team. I was actually looking more of the Stankoven, Ehlers, Blake line because I feel like if you can find good chemistry between those three with the speed that they all have, but also a couple guys that have a little bit more of a shoot first mentality with Stankoven and Blake. If Ehlers can fit well on that line, then I think it even spreads further out your scoring throughout your lineup, and you have a couple really consistent scoring lines. I think that's going to be big going long term. I
would add this: Ehlers, Stankoven, Blake. I think has the best chance to become permanent.
Agreed.
Because I don't think, and this is not disrespect to him, but he's an older. I don't think Hall is skating top line minutes all season.
No, not consistently.
And I think you want Jarvis probably up on that top line. Yeah, not immediately, but sooner rather than later. Ehlers, Stankoven, Blake, if it works, if they start improving and they start scoring, I think that could be your second line going into a postseason series with everybody healthy. So I do want to see that line do well as well.